Hello, welcome back to Life Enrichment with Hank Ballinger. Today I would like to talk to you about becoming redneck rich. Now, first of all, what is redneck rich? That is becoming or achieving a income where you can maintain a redneck lifestyle and have a residual income to where you don't have to work a job on a day-to-day basis, meaning you will be able to do what you want to do when you want to do it. So that is redneck rich. So the entirety of everything that I do will be to try to help people become redneck rich. So first of all, let's discuss the difference between rich and wealthy. Now, to become rich means you have a lot of money. Now, let's look at some people in the past that have had a lot of money. Let's look first of all at baseball, football, and basketball players. Now, depending on which statistic you listen to, some will say 63% of all basketball players are broke about 5 years after they get out of the sport. Some will say about 85% of all football players are broke 2 years after they get out of the sports. But for a general rule, let's say about 85% of all basketball, football, and baseball players are broke about 5 years after they get out of the sport. So you're talking about thousands of players, millions of dollars, possibly billions of dollars, and 5 years after they get out of the sport, they're broke. Well, where did the money go? Money generally goes where it's treated best. Someone else treated it better than they did. They didn't understand money. So the difference between rich and wealthy is rich means you have a lot of money, but you can easily lose that money, as most baseball, basketball, and football players do. And another example is, and I like this guy, but another example is Mike Tyson. If we look at Mike Tyson, depending on which podcast you listen to, some would say 300 million, some would say 400 million. This guy lost that amount of money, $300 to $400 million, after he made it in boxing. Now, I don't know about you. I don't think I want to be a boxer and take that kind of a beating and then lose the money. So the difference between rich and wealthy. Rich means you have a whole lot of money. But if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to lose it. So what is wealthy? Wealthy means you have a residual income. You have income on a month-to-month, a year-to-year basis, and that money is going to keep coming in. So that's what we want to talk about. Now, the idea is redneck rich, but when I say that, realize that when I'm trying to help you become rich, I'm trying to help you become wealthy. It's just redneck rich rolls off the tongue a little better. So when I'm talking to you about redneck rich, I'm wanting you to achieve a lifestyle, a goal where you have an amount of money coming in every month, every year, and you don't have to work a job every single day of your life from now till 70 years of age to maintain that income. You get to control your life. You get to say what you want to do, what kind of house you can live in, what kind of car you can drive, what kind of vacations you can go on. You have control of your life. Now, first of all, to maintain a redneck rich life, it won't be easy, okay? Of all the wealthy people I know, there is none of them that will say, oh, I got it easy, it just happened. Of all the success stories I've read about, I've heard, I've seen on podcasts, I've read in books, None of them say, oh, it's just easy. It just happened. I just woke up one morning and had millions and millions of dollars. It doesn't happen. So if you want to maintain and have a redneck rich life, you can have it, but it will not be easy. And you shouldn't think it would be. Next, it won't be quick. Of all the wealthy people I know, it took them years to attain a level of life to where they had a certain amount of money coming in on a month-to-month and a year-to-year basis to where they could then control their life. It's not quick and it's not easy. It's not meant to be. But who can have it? Anybody can have a redneck rich life. If I can achieve it, you can achieve it. Now, 2 goals, 2 things you have to do in order to be redneck rich. You have to believe in yourself. You have to. And secondly, you've got to get started. So, first of all, how do you believe in yourself? Well, first of all, when I first started, I didn't have a clue of how to build wealth. I didn't know. I was raised in a middle-class home in Jackson County, Kentucky. Great place to be from, great place to be raised. But I didn't know anything about building wealth. So I had to figure out. So I had to immerse myself in the idea. So I started going to seminars. I went to hundreds of seminars, listened to a lot of guys. I read books. I listened to CDs. I listened to cassettes. I listened to audiobooks. I tried to immerse myself. Now, since cell phones have become so popular and you can listen to everything on cell phones, I will listen to about 6 to 8 hours every day on something about macroeconomics, geopolitics, how to build wealth, success stories. So if you have the desire, the phone that you probably have in your pocket or in your hand or in your purse, the phone that you carry with you almost every single day and spend hours on it, that same phone can make you very wealthy if used correctly. So let's look at some of the things that I did. First of all, when I started going to the seminars. Now these seminars, a lot of times you'll hear them advertised on the radio. And these seminars are generally held at a civic center or a hotel somewhere. And so they would be a 2-hour seminar in the evening. So I figured, well, it's 2 hours out of my schedule. So I go to these seminars. And the speaker's up and he may be talking about fix and flips on houses, or he may be talking about assigning property, or he may be talking about buy and hold real estate. He may be talking about shopping centers, whatever. I would go to him. Even if it's something I really wasn't that interested in, I would go. I needed to learn. And I realized the more I went to these, the more I realized there's other possibilities. There's a ton of possibilities out there for anybody to build wealth. Now, everybody may not want to do it the exact way I would want to, or the way you would want to, but everybody can build wealth. So to become redneck rich means you control your life. So I started going to a lot of seminars. I started reading a lot of books. Now, let me give you just a small list of books that you could read. The first one I read was Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Since then, Robert Kiyosaki has written probably 24, 25 books. I've read them all, as far as I know. There's a lot of great books out there. A book called The Millionaire Next Door by Stanley and Danko. Great book. Teaches you that very similar rules to what I'm going to teach in becoming redneck rich. You keep your lifestyle low and you keep building your income up. And as you build that income up and maintain a low lifestyle, then you control your life. So many people, their income is here and their lifestyle is here. You can't do that. You got to make more money than you spend. Basic rule. Listen to Dave Ramsey. He will tell you, you have got to make more money than you spend. Pretty basic rule. And to become redneck rich, you will have to maintain that rule. Make more than you spend. So I started going to seminars. I started listening to CDs. I was reading books. So I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, a lot of Kiyosaki's books. I read The Millionaire Next Door. I read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I read The 16 Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill. I read See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar. There's just a number of books that you could read. Maybe other artists and writers would appeal to you that I haven't read. But you still have to immerse yourself. And because you have a cell phone, if you have one, you can listen to podcasts. There are so many opportunities and so many avenues for you to listen and to immerse yourself, to get ideas. So many opportunities. The audio books makes it very easy. As you're driving down the road, you could listen to an audio book. If your phone will Bluetooth to your car, you could listen to it, or you could just listen to your phone. Probably a better use of your time than maybe just listening to a song that you've heard maybe 100 times, or maybe listening to somebody else talk about the weather or who won the game, or probably a better use of your time just than frivolous conversation. It really doesn't matter. So if you want to be redneck rich, you can achieve that goal. But you have to be willing to spend a lot of time and a lot of hours, and it won't be easy. Now, let's look at after I started immersing myself in the idea that I wanted to become wealthy. What did I do? I had to realize that not only did it cost me a lot of time going to seminars, reading books, listening to podcasts, I also had to apply all those principles I learned. Now, you're going to, as you start watching a lot of these, you're going to see people say, well, if you will just think it, the universe will give it. If you will just have this idea that wealth will come to you, wealth will just come to you out of nowhere. That won't happen. If you don't get up and get active, it won't happen. You have to become very proactive, not reactive. Become proactive. Seek it. Go after it. If you do that and apply the right lessons, you can be redneck rich. Anybody can. So after becoming very proactive in all the things that I had learned, I studied for about a year before I ever bought my first piece of real estate. But after getting that first piece of real estate, I thought, well, this is not as hard as I thought it would be. I thought it would be much harder. And then I got my second piece of real estate, then my third. And I thought, well, you know what? Anybody could do this. Now, in the future, we're going to talk a little bit about that third piece of real estate I got. That one taught me a lot of lessons. And it was a bit of a chore. It took me over a year to get it. But it was a challenge, but it taught me a very valuable lesson. That if there's something you want, you stay persistent and you go for it. And you can achieve it. Now, to become redneck rich, what I did is I set a goal. I said, when I equal my income with real estate with the amount of money I was making on my job, then I was going to quit my job and devote my full time to real estate. That's pretty easy system. You can do that. I can do that. Anybody can achieve that goal. Set the goal. Now, will you have to be working a job and then building wealth in real estate at the same time? Yes. Is it easy? No. Does it take a lot of time, a lot of sweat? Yes. But you can do it. Now, in the future on this channel, we're going to be talking about a lot of different ways that you can build wealth and become redneck rich by buying real estate. And that's primarily what I'm going to teach. I don't teach get rich quick schemes. I don't teach get rich overnight. I don't teach come up with an invention that's going to make you a millionaire by tomorrow morning. What I teach is a systematic way to become redneck rich through real estate. Now, if you will stay tuned for further podcasts, we will have a lot of different ways that you can become redneck rich by buying real estate. I appreciate your time and look forward to future podcasts in the future. Thank you.